Gruesome Magazine.
Hello once again. I am your host, Doc Rotten, and this is Gruesome Magazine, where we review the very latest in streaming video on-demand horror movies, along with theatrical ones. Each week, the Grue-Crew will take a look at various spooky, scary, and gory genre offerings. And this week, the Grue-Crew is me. And I'm taking a look at No Way Up, a film that is in theaters on VOD beginning February 16th of 2024. It's about a plane that submerges. Some people are trapped. We'll get to the synopsis here in a minute, but one of the key selling points is the sharks make their way onto the plane. Yes, it's too easy, but we gotta do it. Sharks on a plane. All right, I just got to get that out of the way because, you know, we're the Grue-Crew and that's what we do. Aye. All right, let's take a look at this. Let me just start out explaining this film. If you can't figure it out, I'm sure you can. But characters from different backgrounds are thrown together when the plane they are traveling on crashes into the Pacific Ocean. A nightmare flight for survival ensues, with the air supply running out and dangers creeping in from all sides. Creeping in is the sharks. Of course, water as well. It is directed by Claudio Fah, written by Andy Mayson. Now, this is where you get the headline. It says, from the executive producers of 47 meters down series, and that's exactly what Andy Mayson is. He was the producer for Shark Bait, Great White, 47 meters down, and 47 meters down on Cage. He likes shark movies. Now he's involved in this one, and I'm sure he'll do more. And of course, here at Gruesome Magazine, we love our shark movies, and this is only one of many coming our way. Check out Gruesome Magazine H&R for all the news on that. We have a news about a couple coming up here very soon. And in addition to that, also check out some of the decades of horror that we have. We have a variety of looking back at horror movies in the past. We have decades of horror, the classic era, which we do from the silent era up through the 60s. And then we have decades of horror, the 70s, looking up the films from the 70s. And then, of course, the 80s as well. Each and every one of those are fantastic, and I encourage you to check them out. And, of course, we do Gruesome Magazine every week, which we take a look at the latest releases. All right, let's take a look at the cast here. The cast is, except for maybe Colm Meaney, who plays Brandon. He's a security guard that is helping out the basically a senator's daughter, or maybe it was a governor. I'm not really sure. That was important. The politician's daughter, let's put it that way, played by Sophie McIntosh, as they are traveling, and she's traveling with a couple of friends. And then we have an old couple and their granddaughter on board, and we have a couple of the people on the steward on the plane as well. The remaining cast includes Jeremiah Mohr, or Mohr. I think it's a Mohr. I always mess up names. Forgive me. All right, James Carroll Jordan, Will Athenborough, Manuel Pacific, and Grace Nettle, along with Phyllis Logan. The tagline, if you can see it down there, is brace yourself. Brace yourself for this review. All right. As I mentioned before, we love shark movies, and that's what attracted me to this movie. But what I found out is that it's less a shark movie than it is kind of like a modern airport movie. If you love the airport movies from the 70s, there were 4 of them, I think, maybe 5. And then, of course, that led to Airplane, which knocked those out of the water. And they weren't, when they aren't going to be doing any more of those. But anyway, this plays very much more like an airport movie and than it does. And, you know, where is Joe Patroni when you need him? That was George Kennedy's character. We just needed him. If we had him in here, of course, he passed away. It would be weird. But if we had him in here, it'd be an airport movie. Speaking of the cast is really what makes this movie work, in my opinion. I mean, other than, well, we'll get to it in a minute, but the cast is really solid, and they really make you care for these characters, or at least many of them. Not all of them. There's a couple of them that grate on your nerves a little bit, but for the most part, our lead and the young girl that she's trying to basically save out of everyone. You feel very much for these two characters and you root for them, and they help very much from keeping this movie get a little too easy, because this it could easily get this movie could fall into a cheesy zone in an instant, and it gets close from time to time. And another one, I will say that I think it's Manuel Pacific that he plays the steward on it, and he becomes more and more of a character you care for as they go on. And it's interesting how the characters' relationships grow and sway during the entire run of the film, and I like that. Now it gets a little unbelievable at times. It's kind of like that. The Shelley Winters swimming through through Poseidon adventure time. I never can hold my breath as long as the character. I don't know if you ever tried doing that. We used to do that with Poseidon. We'd sit there and we go, okay, they're going in, hold your breath. I never could make it. Never could make it to the time they come out on the other side. I know it's the miracle of filmmaking, but you want that realism in there. But there's some in here that just is stretching things a little too far. But at the same time, you kind of, by the time that happens, you don't care. So many other things have happened that are a little bizarre and over the top that I don't know. It's fine by the time it gets that. Another good thing that this film does is that it sets up the first act pretty quickly. It introduces the characters, gets them on the plane. We don't dilly-dally. Next thing you know, birds hit the plane and things are starting to get a little wonky. And down they go. And then the majority of the film is actually them underwater trying to survive. And we also get a little bit of above ground and helicopters that are trying to rescue them. It's a little bit point of the story, which is necessary, and you kind of need that to tie it all together, keep it grounded or afloat. Trying not to be punny, but it's just setting it up squeezy. But regardless, the pacing of it really works in its favor. It's a short film, and the another thing that works in its favor are the effects, the visual effects, which could have been really, low key, really bad. Let's just throw it out there. They could have been bad, but they actually really work. There are times when the shark's in the plane, underwater, still underwater, but in the plane, that it actually is pretty frightening and realistic for the most part. I don't know. I'm a sucker for these films. I'm a sucker for disaster films. I'm a sucker for shark movies. So this one is kind of a no-brainer for me. It's really kind of the movie I want to see. If it's not going to be Meg with a big giant shark, let's put them sharks in an interesting situation, and this certainly is. I don't have any excuse. I'm going to give this movie a 3.25 out of 5. It's not. You're gonna have to like those kinds of movies if you really are a shark movie fan, or if you really like disaster films, especially like airport films. You're going to find enough to love out of this movie. It's not going to be in the top 10, but it's far away from the bottom 10. I really kind of enjoyed this. I might even give it an honorable mention. It's a guilty pleasure. Let's just put it on the deck. This movie for me is a guilty pleasure. But all right, I'm not going to waste any more of your time. I think I've given you enough that you can decide whether or not you want to see this. Check out No Way Up if you like. It's on VOD and out in certain theaters at the moment. Or if you're watching this later, it's probably on streaming in some place. I'd love to hear what you think of this. I'd love to hear what you think of shark movies. And we also encourage you to hit the like, subscribe, share with a friend buttons. Each click helps us find more horror fans just like you. And of course, check out gruesomemagazine.com for more exciting reviews and looks at older horror films. I think you'll enjoy what you find. I thank you for joining me. That's all I have to say. Thank you and good night. Goodbye. Point.
Gruesome Magazine.